Welcome back to Pawpaw's Workshop. Today in this video, I want to take the box app that I have shown you in previous videos and actually build a little cabinet. And this cabinet, I need to put drawers in it. And I'm going to show you exactly how to design it and set up the drawers that will fit in this box. Now this set is the first of several that I'm going to be building. My son is heavily into the Warhammer games and loves to paint those types of models. And to be able to store all the different things that he has, he needs to be able to have drawers and cabinets and places for the paint and brushes and you name it, and it's there. I'm taking all of the scrap pieces of plywood that I have around the shop and making this cabinet out of just as efficiently as I can. And that's been a little bit of a challenge. In the box app, this is the settings that I used. The X, the Y, and the H for the height. And this is the results. It turned out absolutely fantastic, and it fits in these little cabinets absolutely perfectly. Hey everyone, by the way, recently I just added the merchandise to my YouTube channel. So depending on the platform that you're on, you can look right down below or perhaps up here and see the different merchandise that I have. Currently I have the different t-shirts with the Pawpaws logo on it, whether it's the large one like this or the smaller version. And I also have the coffee mugs as well. So if you'd like to be able to support the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Rather than trying to cut out all of the different parts at the same time, I've been able to take the scrap plywood that I have from other projects, and as a result, I can only make just a few parts at a time. In this case, this is the drawer front that I'm going to be able to make, and there's enough room for a couple of the parts that I can cut out and use for those drawers. Many people ask what type of setup though I use to be able to engrave or cut out the different projects, and I have to say it varies widely. I set this one up so that you could actually look underneath and see what was taking place, and you can see exactly when it's cutting through the material and when it's not cutting through the material. Now this is not the normal type of an operation that I use, but it's something I wanted to be able to demonstrate to you so that you could see what was happening underneath the laser. And I think it gives some very interesting photography on being able to see that laser beam and how it will shoot all the way down and still hit the metal that's on the workbench itself. This is a very strong laser that will actually burn into the workbench if I didn't have this metal. In fact, in some cases, I did burn the workbench because the metal was out of place. Another thing I wanted to be able to point out, you can see how the wood is sticking out on that left-hand side. This is one little scrap piece of wood that I can get one part out of, but I need to be able to frame it, make sure that it will fit, and yes, it will fit fine. So I can get one part out of this scrap. I really don't want to throw this away if I could get any type of parts for this project. And so far, I've had some pretty good success. Now this is where I made a mistake. And this is what happens when you're more interested in the video than you are in the process of actually getting everything cut out. Those letters were just part of the label that indicated where and what part that I was actually cutting or planning on cutting. I had to stop the machine and go back and delete that, and then I went ahead and cut out this part. So lesson learned. I wanted to give you another look underneath the machine. You can actually see that laser beam. One of the things that I wanted to point out too is I'm cutting out the bottom. That's what's on the grid. The other item is one of the sides. It's off of the grid. That's not going to cut. And that's another thing that you can do when you're using the absolute coordinates and home the machine. And by the way, these are the last two parts that I need to finish the drawers that I need for the box. Now these two boxes are actually finished and all glued together, and they look really good. I can't wait to get the drawers cut out and glued together and make sure that everything fits exactly how I'm hoping that it'll fit. This is a fantastic software package that's free, and I would certainly suggest downloading it and using this in conjunction with the Lightburn. It is fantastic. You can see how this is cutting out, and this is now, I've increased the speed and I've increased the number of passes, and I have reduced the power to be able to help out the laser a little bit, and it is still doing a fantastic job. Using up all these scrap pieces of the plywood is absolutely excellent. With the cost of wood these days, you really don't want to waste anything. So here I'm getting everything framed for the next parts, for that next drawer that I need to be able to cut out, and to make sure that it will fit into this space. And this is the parts that I'm cutting out. This is actually 3 sides of the drawers, because I still have some additional ones to be able to make. And as you can see, the process is doing an excellent job. Another thing that I want to point out to you, with this machine raised up, you can see all of that blue light underneath. Again, just because you have the shield on the laser itself, there's still an awful lot of blue light that is being scattered throughout your shop. So by all means, please remember to wear your safety glasses, and just don't take for granted the fact that that shield is on the laser, that you don't have the possibility of damaging your eyes, because that blue light is literally everywhere. So always wear the glasses. Be safe in your shop when you're working around the laser. And this is one of the main reasons that I wanted to be able to show you today, by raising this laser up off of the table and being able to show you exactly what happens underneath. Now, I had said that I had changed the speed. This is running at 600 millimeters per minute, and I put this up to 4 passes. But as you can see, this is the second pass that's being done now, and it's already starting to cut through this 5 millimeter plywood. The extra 2 passes to be able to get a total of 4 is just to ensure that everything completely cuts through very cleanly. I could probably do it in 3, but I went ahead and added that 4th pass. And again, this is at 90% power. The good thing about this now, when I lift this up, most of these pieces will just fall right out. So let's take a look and see what happens as I raise this up. Sure enough, 2 of the 3 pieces just fell out and remained on the workbed itself. The third one, it may need just a little bit of persuasion. And it snapped right out very easily. I have the first drawer finished, and this is the first test to make sure that it actually did fit. And sure enough, that is absolutely perfect. The gap that I have in here is 1.5 millimeter spacing, and that seemed to work perfect. The drawer slides in, it doesn't have a lot of slop back and forth, and you can't get any better than that. So with this success, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the other 2 drawers and be able to save this file, so I'll be able to duplicate this anytime that I wish. I'm going to bring this in and show you what I do with it, because at this point I'm using up all of the scrap plywood that I possibly can. I've already have the 2 sides done for the next drawer, but I need the bottom and I need the front and the back. And come up this way. Nope, don't want that. I'm going to come from the bottom and catch my cabinet and delete it, because I really don't need that. What I want to be able to use is the drawer bottom itself. The 2 sides are done, and I need to do a front and a back. So that's the part that I need to be able to cut out at this point. These 2 pieces I already have. I'll cut those for now. I believe I can get all of these parts out of this piece of scrap plywood that I have on the laser right now. One of the things that you'll notice, these are grouped together. So I want to ungroup all of this by clicking this little icon right there, and then I can delete that little text. And I did not do that earlier, as you had seen, and it just cut right through it. I don't want to repeat that problem. So at this point, I have this one, and I think I want to position it right about here on the material. And I'm going to take these 2 And I believe if I rotate these and then slide those right over next to it, I believe I can get all of this cut out of this one area. And that's what I'm going to check right now. We're going to slide this down and slide it over right about there. I want to frame this and make sure that this is exactly where I want it with this scrap piece of wood. So the first thing, let's go back over to the laser and we'll home the machine, and it's homed. So now I want to be able to find out exactly where this particular point is going to be. And that moves the laser right over to that point, and I can actually see that I can come down a little bit further. Let's come down about another inch, and I think that will be good. So let's start with that. Now, even having a grid on here really wouldn't do a whole lot of good, because I'm trying to use up this scrap plywood. I think that will do it. I want the bottom over in this area and those other two pieces there, and I'm hoping I have enough room here to be able to get that bottom cut out. I have the plywood positioned where I believe it's going to work just fine now. I want to go and frame this, and let's just double check, because I'm still concerned about this area and this width right here. And that's looking good, and that will fit in there, so that's excellent. And this will utilize the vast majority of the material with minimum waste. So at this point, grab the glasses and we'll hit start. And you can see over in here that this little fan is pulling a lot of this smoke out of here, and it's going through that charcoal filter. Now this fan's actually a little bit too small. I'm going to do another setup in the next video to show you a completely different setup to be able to capture even more of the smoke. Okay, I promise this is the last time I'm going to mention this, but look at the honeycomb itself. Look at all that blue light that's being scattered everywhere. So one more time, please remember to wear your safety glasses. The final box is all finished cut out now, and it's time to be able to glue everything together. Now I have two choices. I could just use the CA glue by Starbond, or I could use the white glue. In this case, I decided to use the white glue. So this is the orientation of all the different parts. So next step, let's just grab the glue and put it on all of the different parts, and it will go together really, really easily. I'm going to fast forward a little bit because nobody wants to watch me put glue on a piece of wood. The important thing that I want to point out to you though, it only took less than 3 minutes to assemble this entire box, and obviously the hardest part and the longest portion was getting the glue on all of the different joints. This is the bottom piece of the drawer. You have to put glue on all of these different joints. In addition to that, there's glue that you need to put onto the other parts as well before you put them together. Because quite frankly, you want glue on all of the different surfaces that's going to come in contact with the other mating parts. And just to show you, these pieces go together really, really easily. It does not take a lot of pressure at all to be able to put these parts together. A little excess glue, I just simply wipe off with a paper towel and move on to the next piece. Last piece, of which is the front of the drawer, just slides in and perfect. Now in hindsight, I wish I had designed this so it had the little finger joint on the side of the box, but quite frankly that was a minor inconvenience because this box still went together so easily. But that is the one thing that if I had to change, that's what I would do. At this point, it's just wiping off all the excess glue. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry. I don't even need to put clamps on this. What I really love about this is I can pick this box up and handle it, move it around, and it's not going to come apart. But quite frankly, yeah, I do want the glue to dry. So I'm just going to let it sit here and dry. I'll come back in about a half an hour and we'll test it out. I'm not going to go into detail on this box software because I have shown that in the previous one, but these are the settings that I had used. Please don't get hung up on all of the different settings. Most of these are default settings and you can leave alone. What I changed on this was the finger. I put it at the 5mm and the spacing I put at 5mm. As far as the drawer, I put in the X, Y, and the H. H should be in the height. The play, I left it alone. It was 0.15mm. I was a little concerned, but I'll let the software do its job. And that's the most important thing that I can tell you. Let the software do its job. Put in the parameters as far as the sizes of the box that you need and the finger joints. And don't worry about anything else. It's going to fit together and it's going to work really well. If you overcomplicate it and try to change all the settings, you're going to end up causing a problem and it's not going to work. The other thing that I want to point out to you, I am using the Air Assist. You can see the hose and the nozzle right there in this particular shot. But this is very important to be able to have the Air Assist to be able to cut this plywood. And it cuts extremely clean. You don't have the smoke residue on the plywood. In the places where you do see some residue from the smoke, that's because I forgot to turn the Air Assist on, as you can see in that one piece. But with the Air Assist on, you can see just how clean and crisp this cut line is, and it works very effectively. The box is all cut out now, and this little cabinet is fantastic. It snaps together very, very easily, and in fact at this point I don't even have the glue on it, and it still holds together nicely. I'm going to go ahead and glue this together, and then it's time to put the drawers in it. This was one of the most fun projects that I have done for a while. Being able to cut out this little cabinet and assemble it was an awful lot of fun. Now my son has a full CAD drawing of all the different components that he wants. There's 4 of these particular boxes. You can look at this right here and you can see an awful lot of smoke. I think it was a very wise thing, as you saw where I reduced the power, changed the number of passes. It actually did help to reduce the smell of smoke that was coming out of this machine. But the charcoal filter definitely does its job. As I said earlier, this one is a little bit small. But it definitely does point out the fact on how important it is to be able to have the proper ventilation in the shop or wherever you're doing the engraving. This is an awful lot of smoke. I'm very fortunate to have a shop that has excellent ventilation. And even with this little charcoal filter, it's not enough. But I do have multiple systems within the shop to be able to exchange the air out and have it totally ventilated, and that's very, very important. Now in the next video I'm going to show you a completely different setup that will be able to vent this air and keep it a lot cleaner with a different type of charcoal filter. You're not going to want to miss that. So if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell notification so you won't miss out on that next video. I would venture to say that nobody has raised up their machine this high so that you could actually film and see what was taking place under the laser. You can see that laser beam, you can see the smoke, and you can see that there is an awful lot of activity that's taken place under this. Just imagine if this was sitting directly on the table. You would have no idea what was actually taking place. And this is important, in my opinion, to be able to see and understand. I've also had people ask me, well, with the honeycomb, why do you need to have the metal down on your workbench? Well, guys, this laser would definitely burn the workbench without having this metal down on the workbench. This is very, very important because yes, I have burned my workbench before. If that metal was out of position and it burned right into the workbench. This laser is strong enough to be able to do damage. So you must have that metal plate underneath your honeycomb, again, to protect the surface that you have this laser sitting on. I know some of you are actually engraving inside your home on your dining room table. I don't think your wife's going to be too happy if you burn that dining room table. You might find yourself with an unexpected refinishing process to be able to keep your wife happy should you burn that table and you'd have to refinish it. The other thing, you don't have good ventilation inside of a house. So please keep this thought in mind to be able to take care and always have safety first. Hey everyone, by the way, recently I just added the merchandise to my YouTube channel. So depending on the platform that you're on, you can look right down below or perhaps up here and see the different merchandise that I have. Currently I have the different t-shirts with the Pawpaws logo on it, whether it's the large one like this or the smaller version. And I also have the coffee mugs as well. So if you'd like to be able to support the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Thank you for watching the video today. This little drawer was a whole lot of fun to make. These are going to be able to store a lot of different merchandise. They're easy to be able to make, and they're a lot less expensive than trying to buy these already built. So if you enjoyed this video today, please, by all means, go ahead and give me the thumbs up. And don't forget, right down there, hit that little subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And don't forget the bell notification also, so that you'll be reminded of the different videos that I upload. But this box is the first of a series that I'm going to be making for my son to be able to have him store all of his Warhammer materials. For now, guys, I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye-bye now.